How to use tables and hero skills together. In this tutorial you'll learn how to create a hero ability that uses CliCli's table editor to determine how much damage the ability deals. Here I have a mage hero I created placed on my map. Let's go ahead and go to the object editor. This hero is mostly set to default settings. I've just increased the max MP. Our first stop in learning how to use tables with hero skills is the Abilities tab in the Object Editor. Let's create a custom ability by clicking on New Project. We'll name it Fireball and give it a nice icon. This one looks good. Now select Fireball. Here we can set up pretty standard settings such as mana cost, amount of skill levels. We won't be using damage point however because we will let our table determine how much damage is dealt. Make sure target filter is set to target enemies and creatures. Now let's change the max amount of levels this skill has. For this example Fireball skill it will have 4 levels, each with its own amount of damage to deal to the target. With our amount of levels set, let's check out the table editor. You can get to the table editor from the main game editor screen. This is the amazing table editor. Doesn't look like much but it's very powerful. We will be using a multi-dimensional table for this tutorial. So go ahead and create one. We'll also rename it to Mage Skills. The key is an important element. This must be a unique and no row can have the same key. Instead of using integer for the key we will use a string. Now we will go ahead and create unique entries here. In this case I'll use Q, W, E and R. Q for the first hero ability, W for the second, etc. Now we'll add a column header called name and set it as a string type. In this field we'll put Fireball. Now here is where things get interesting. Let's create a column header for each level of damage we want our skill to do. We'll put damage_1, and then damage_2, etc. Set each one's type to integer as well. Note here that columns must have unique names otherwise it turns red. Now with all of our columns set up we can enter how much damage we want our fireball to do for each level. Now it's time to go back to the object editor to finish our ability. Go to the Triggers tab at the top. Click New Trigger. We'll name this one Precast, which is just what happens right before the ability is cast. Add Ability Precast Starts Event. Add an action to play a unit animation. Select Unit and under Function choose Ability Owner. For this string we need to know the name of the animation we want our hero to play. Let's find one. Go ahead and click Confirm to save our current progress on this trigger. Let's go back to the Units section and then click on the Display tab. At the bottom is a drop-down menu containing all of this model's animations. I like this one. Note the animation name, which in this case is ability_300001_01. I had to read a few times to remember. Back to the Abilities section. Click on String and type in the animation name. Now for rate, I accidentally choose 100, because I'm thinking it's a rate of 100%. But actually rate needs to be 1. Rate at 100 means the animation will play 100 times faster. We just want it to play at 1 times the normal speed. I fix my mistake, smile. We'll leave from and to at default. These have to do the timeline of the animation and how long it plays for. We'll also loop the animation back to idle after the hero finishes playing it. Create another trigger. Name this one Precast Ends. This will be what happens right when the ability starts. We are gonna need a projectile for a fireball. So we'll pause making this trigger and go make a fireball projectile. The magic of video editing to speed this up. Alright, now with our projectile created, let's get back to the triggers of the ability. We will set up a couple of variables to track our effect, caster, and target for this ability. Create a projectile variable called fireball_effect. Now create a unit variable called caster. And finally create a unit variable called target. Now we will set up all these variables. Caster as ability owner, target as ability target. Now it's time to create the projectile. Create a projectile as unit socket. Choose our fireball projectile. Use our caster variable. Now to decide what to put in socket, we need to refer to our hero's model's attachment points. Let's confirm to save our progress, and go check out our hero's model again. Under Attach Point Edit, check the drop-down menu for attachment points. Find one you like. Notice the red, blue, green lines to see where the attachment point is. I like attack too. Remember this name. Back to the ability triggers. Set the socket string to attack 2. For orientation, we will choose the function angel between 2 points. The 2 points being location of units, target and caster. Scroll over to the right so we can finish the projectile creation. For visibility rules, choose all. Awesome, now our projectile is made, we need to make it move. Let's create a tracking mover. At this point we could use last created projectile, but it's better if we use our variable we created earlier. Fireball_effect. Fireball_effect hasn't been set up though. So I'll show you a neat trick of CliCli. On our previous create projectile action, scroll to the right and click convert to variable. Scroll back over to the left and choose our fireball_effect as the variable to assign. Back to the tracking mover, select target as the unit target. Leave stopping distance at 0 to allow it to go for as long as it needs. Set initial speed to 1000 and acceleration to 100. Next, under execute next action when move complete, we will create a new action. We need to destroy the projectile once it reaches the unit. Choose projectile destroy and select our fireball_effect variable. Now for the big finale. Create a new action in move complete section. Choose unit deal damage. Set damage to magical. Now we can finally connect our table. Here we can choose the table we want to reference. You'll see there are 2 float value from the table to choose from. Choose the one with 2 sets of enclosed brackets. Now choose the mage_skills table. For the first enclosed bracket we'll put Q in reference to the row we made in the table. For the second, we'll do something fancy. Choose string splice. For the first string put DMG underscore. For the second string choose convert any variables to string. Then set it to convertibility, specifically ability level of current ability. Choose our target variable for the target. Confirm and we are done. Let's check it out in game. If everything works correctly when the mage hero casts fireball, it will move towards the target and deal damage based on what we wrote in the table. Oh, be sure to check your hero and add the fireball ability. Make sure it's set to level 0 if you want the player to have to learn the ability. CliCli defaults to level 1, which means the hero already learned the ability. Also set your hero to a level higher than 1 so we can test the different levels of fireball. Level 1 should do 50 damage. Nice. Level 2 did 150. Perfect. Level 3 works great. Awesome. Level 4 did 1000 damage. Whoa. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have questions or want to see CliCli tutorials like this, click the like button.